Oseo.
Oseo.
Good, that's a Cherokee greeting. And wave the great feather for the good of it. Here we are in the first week of January, and my theme is about the new year. Actually, I'm going to call it the Celtic and Native New Year. And the first thing I'm going to look at is over here. This is for this time is the wolf moon. It's also the time they say when the wolves whelp their young. So this wolf moon is here with us in this occasion, this time. Then go all the way over to the other side here. The winter solstice for a long time was observed by people, however many thousands of years there have been human people here, and they know that the sun, moves, that the sun is bright, that the sun is warm, and that it moves. And they kind of figured out, there would be a summer solstice and a winter solstice, like that. And when they came up with the occasion or holiday of Christmas, that was also the winter solstice, considered to be the birth of light, pretty much of what the emphasis was. And the sun solstice means that the sun has gone that far south and it stands still for a while, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 days, like that. And when it begins to move, back towards the north, then that's the beginning of the new year. So that's the way it was for a very long time. And in the late 16th century, a new calendar was devised there in Rome by said Pope Gregory, and that changed things so that Christmas now, is on the 25th of December, and a few days later the new year. But the rest of the world, especially the indigenous world, the Celtic world, pretty much went by the original observation. So last time, that was a couple weeks ago, I did the winter solstice Celtic. And to do that, I always feature this stone here. This stone is called the Bell Stone, and it is located there in Nevada, east of Reno, alongside the Truckee River. So last week or 2 weeks ago, I featured that for the winter solstice. And so just to start with that, this is a Celtic inscription here in Gaelic. It says Ya U Bell. That's what the inscription says there. And at the winter solstice, the winter eagle, as he's called, comes up from the underworld, Shinar, and comes to the top of the stone to crown it with light. And then for the next 6 months or so, the light is covering the stone until it's totally in the light, and that's called the glory of Bell. So that's the Celtic version succinctly. The Navajo, which overlaps in different places, and this is one of the places, the ancient Celts as well. So in the Navajo, that's what I've made, a few different renditions of this stone, and the one I'm presenting tonight is the Navajo. The Navajo live in northern Arizona. Navajo is kind of an American name for them. It's easy to say. Their own name is Diné, the people. So this is now the Navajo version of the same stone. In this, the Navajo call this the sky-reaching rock. The rock itself, has a very circular bowl that could hold a couple gallons of water at least, like that. In the Celtic, it is referring to that as only the moon. This is a letter, a Celtic letter, for the word Calmon, meaning dove in Gaelic, and that the dove is the queen of the moon, and the moon governs the solar year. So in the Navajo, the sky-reaching rock, this is a lake. And this lake is figuring as a primordial lake, you know. So the Navajo, it brings a lot of other mythology into it, and the light mixes with it, the sunlight, but the emphasis seems to be much more of water. And so in the primordial time, there is a lake, and the first person to rise out of that lake is the cicada. That's what this means, is the cicada becomes the first person to rise out of the water, the ancient water, figured in this illustration here, like that. From that, then in the water of this lake is conceived Holy Boy, or born from water is his name, Tabashasini. And somehow that the lake, the water in the lake overflows, and it comes down, and in this flow of the water flowing down appears Holy Boy, born of water. And he goes down until there is a pool, large pool of water at the foot of this sky-reaching rock, as it's called. And when that occurs, then there is Coyote. Coyote is a kind of midwife, and he wades into the water, and he lifts up Holy Boy and lifts him up to the sun, who in this evidence is female, like the Celtic Grain is the mother of Bel. And here is actually, I have figured a portrait of Holy Boy, and that's Navajo. The other characters in it, on this side, this is Water Sprinkler, who also can figure as Blue Body in the myth, and on the other side this is an otter. So these figure as water creatures for the myth, and that there's a coyote star, and here is the eagle, who is the eagle who never dies. In other words, he assures, you know, the cycle of this winter, summer. For the Navajos, the year is just the winter season and the summer season, just like in the old days. So that's the way that I am illustrating this Navajo feeling for born for water, Holy Boy, or changing grandchild, or December's child. All those are names that pertain to this. Now we can go up here to, this is the star of the show, up here. What I've illustrated here, much, much larger than it is on a rock, this is actually a petroglyph. It's in eastern California, and I have found it years and years ago, and have illustrated it a few different ways. And it is very much, I'm saying very accurate as to a person probably from the British Isles, who knows how long ago, carved this into the rock. In eastern California is that there are got to be thousands and thousands of petroglyphs. Some of them are located in real concentration around near Ridgecrest as Little Petroglyph Canyon or Big Petroglyph Canyon. This one is about south of there. And what it is featuring here, this is the image for an animal. The shape that he's in is a horn ladle. The name for the horn ladle is lan liach, and it's used as a rebus. A rebus means taking letters and arranging them in a way to spell the word itself here. So this is an ogham rebus. Ogham is the name of the Irish or Celtic system of writing a couple thousand years ago here. And this one is very unique. Uh, this feature here is a bevel in the rock, which the artist here had employed very, very cleverly here. So that the idea is that the animal is leaping over this bevel of the rock. In other words, this is lower and this is higher, and he's leaping up to it. So it's called in Gaelic Gabro Lem, goat leap, which is also a name for the sperm. This is making new life here. It's figured as a goat. Gabro is a goat, but this region does not have any indigenous goats here. So it's very likely that the bighorn sheep which once was very, very numerous in the region, is really what was intended, but using the kind of language that came from probably the British Isles a long time ago. So the way that it is able to figure here, I'm going to use the light here. So there's two horns there. That's for the letter D in this system. And then very cleverly, the head is formed into a kind of X. And this is a diphthong for ya. So you have D, and then ya, and then the front two legs are the L. And this then is to spell the Gaelic word gia, a term of endearment, like dear, like that. And then all of these strokes here are to spell two words using the thingamajig of the animal as another diphthong for oi, like that. So this is spelling o shin. That is, the letters of S and N are figured in this. O shin. That's a name for this, as I'm translating as nuk, like that. And then the last part, these two legs here are the letter G, and this is being overlapped as, oi sig, meaning yearling, a yearling sheep. So that's the way that all of this is figuring itself to be translated as dear little nook, continuance for this year. That's what all of this good message is. Also in the Gaelic, I said right here, Tashbian, because this looks like, a skeleton, like those would be skeletal ribs, like that. And so the term for that is Tashbian, reveal. So Tashbian do to clear duin, it means you reveal yourself to us by your loving kindness. So that's all the way that this ancient Celtic inscription is reading for the new year. Now we can come over here to my painting here. This is my painting of a petroglyph. It's in the very same region as the previous one here, and it's called Suet Bel, meaning Eye of Bel. Now in the ancient Celtic world, Bel was ubiquitous. So the Eye of Bel is looking on you, looking upon you. The Eye of Bel sees, all like that. And my painting here is very much larger than it is on the rock. Curiously, on the rock that it figures, there are around it, it's like a little scene, there are several petroglyphs, carvings of what is characteristically bighorn sheep. Maybe a dozen packed into the rock is almost like a slanted table, so kind of flat. And in the middle of it is this, like he's another animal among those animals, and he's figured as some kind of animal with horns here. And it is another way, again, of writing, where this is the D and this is the diphthong, ya. So in this one, it's saying something like divine. divine bell. The hoofs on this, the curved hoofs on this, is another diphthong, Yual, Yual. So it means all. It means divine bell is all seeing. And we used this painting on the cover of a CD that we made a few years ago, actually called The Eye of Bell. And it still is available, I think, on CD Baby or something. So this is definitely showing the Celtic connection here, in this case, in western Turtle Island, that the Americans call America. So we have all of that. Now, I'm going to continue this into the bighorn sheep. We spent over Christmas time, which is also my birthday, in Borrego Springs, which is well east of San Diego in the desert. And Borrego is a local Spanish-Mexican name for the bighorn sheep, sometimes called mountain sheep and so forth. So that's what I'm segueing all of this into here. But while we're still with the petroglyph, let's go to this one right here. This one is also located there in Eastern California, specifically in Little Petroglyph Canyon outside of Ridgecrest. And it is a petroglyph. It is very much larger than this one. It must be maybe three feet long or so, longer than all of this here. And it is actually an Egyptian logogram. Amun, as the Europeans are spelling it, Amun, becomes Amen in Christian prayers, Amen, is the state deity of ancient Egypt. The name itself means something like to hide or hidden. And this petroglyph is located right at chest level, I would call it, in a narrow passageway here among many, many petroglyphs. And it would seem that it would mostly always be in the shade of the rock. And you're standing right there. It's very deeply carved and looks very old. And in Egyptian, it is saying this is Yua, and this is Neb, and this is Ta Yui. And it says in Egyptian, I, Lord of the two lands. It's actually what it says. Neb, this is a woven basket in Egypt that stands for the word Neb being translated as Lord here. So this is another petroglyph that in this case is definitely featuring the Borrego, the bighorn sheep here. And the name Amun, by the way, also became used as for the fossil of a ancient marine fossil called ammonite. So you can come here to this. This is a very small one. They can be extremely large. This is the image of a marine fossil ammonite, an ancient creature like that. And that's evidently connecting, the scientists, whoever did the naming, connecting this shape with the ram's horns. So ammonite has been named after Amen, the ancient Egyptian state deity, if I can put it that way. So we can see that. And I've surmounted this is an actual candlestick, that this is a carving. This is a native carving in ironwood. Onea tsotse is what it's called. It grows in the desert. It's a little tree. As this has been carved into the head of a Borrego. Then you go right next to it here. What I'm featuring here is in the, quote, the home of these mystical or mythical Borregos, there is a great rock crystal in the shape of the ammonite, a circular crystal here. And this is in the home of these mythical bighorn sheep. Also in the home are what they call precious jewels. Precious jewels are stones, the turquoise, white shell, jet, and a couple others I can't remember. These are all featured as stones to aid, in healing. Whether they're symbolic or they're actually employed by somebody, but that's what the home of the Borrego, the mythical Borrego, is about. Right below it here, this is a ceramic piece from ancient China, so it's pretty old. It's 1,000 years old, from the Song Dynasty. I have it here because it's in the shape of a bighorn sheep, and it's a water dropper. So it's something that does, hold water here. And then go right alongside of it here. This is an old pot from Borrego Springs. I would guess that it is a offering bowl by the Coyote, who were a long time inhabitants of the region Borrego Springs for at least, we know, 7,000 years, and it has painted on it, the logo for the Borrego in it, that this is a stone carving. I'm not sure who did it, but I found it there, of a Borrego. And then behind it, this is a symbol of the fan palm, desert fan palm tree, Mawal in Korea. And it was, it's a very unique and ancient, maybe one of the most ancient trees still surviving in Turtle Island. And it was a main source for the desert Korea. They utilized it for all kinds of things. They usually lived, at least near, if not in, these groves of these trees themselves, like that. So they're very, very important. Second to it, that I don't have illustrated, but I'm using these two together, is the desert Mojave yucca. Also, it is a major source for the desert people that could use the plant, the leaves, the stalk as a huge, tall stalk, like that, like the wood of a tree, and it is used. Here in this theme I have with the bighorn sheep, the yucca has a genie in a bighorn sheep. Kadash Chitiji is what his name is. And interesting, he's figured as, upright, almost like a person, but with horns and a hump on his back. And on his back, either he's carrying it or it's growing out of his back, is the spiny or pointed leaf plant of the yucca. And in his hand, as his insignia, he carries a latigo, a whip made from the braided fiber of the yucca leaves. And this is his insignia for basically to assist or cure, at least, humans, the pain of lumbago or headaches. And that, it gives this plant, a particular relation to the animal. There's actually a reason, a motive behind this, and that is that there's other instances of this theme. The theme is actually meat and vegetables, that you have to have a healthy diet of meat along with plant life of some kind. And that's really the motive of putting the plant, yucca, together with the animal, bighorn sheep. And here, right here, I did just showing you, this is actually a petroglyph, I'm saying a petrified fossil of the tree of the yucca that I found there in Borrego Springs. And then here's my painting, my rendition of this animal. And right alongside of this animal, this object, is from the nature center there in Borrego Springs. Wherever they can, they're going to illustrate the Borregos who live in the mountains due west of Borrego Springs here. And down here is one of my drawings of the Borrego, and here is a figure of the Borrego to illustrate how he looks. And then over here, this is really interesting. This is a mask, a wooden carved mask. It's actually a Yaqui ceremonial mask called Paola Makara. And a friend of ours was named Ted Townsend. He had a shop, he and his wife Mary had a shop there in the mall in Borrego Springs called the Ram's Head. Eventually they sold they closed that shop, and he passed this mask of the Ram's Head on to me, like that. And so now I'm featuring this here as actually kind of memorial, for Ted passed away just a couple of weeks ago. He was a Borrego Springs native-born Cherokee and a friend of ours. So that's the occasion for having this here. I'm going to read a piece. All last week, the last 2 weeks, there's been rain, a lot of rain like that. We were pretty lucky for the few days we were in Borrego Springs. We didn't suffer too much of the rain, but this song is about it. This is called the Bighorn's Song. It is from the Coyote, the desert Coyote, is with them. And so this is the way I'm going to do it. Oh, I should say before I start here, if you can look over here, I have an image that stands for a swallow. Can you see that? Because it's going to be in this song. The swallow, the sequina, as they call them, like that, is in myth, kind of they call swallow people. They have a certain amount of power. On the tips of his wings is coyote fur, and this gives the swallow a transit between worlds, maybe even a metempsychosis like that. So that's the power that's inherent in the bird called a swallow sequina, and that figures in this song. Hey, okay. As far as I can see comes the rain with me. From the rain mountain far away, comes the rain with me. Mid the lightnings, mid the zigzag flashing, mid the lightning flashing, comes the rain with me. Amid the swallows yellow, chirping glad together, comes the rain with me. Through the pollen blessed, all in pollen hidden, comes the rain with me. Far as I can see, comes the rain with me. Magai, be alive, be dude, be dewy. Aho.
Oh.
Thank you.